Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm not here to motivate you. I'm here to ignite the fire in you that envy the ice. If you're ready to step out of mediocrity, if you're done watching others win while you shrink yourself, then today we begin. Pause, look around the room, because I'm going to give you 5 lines, not 5 essays, not 5 courses, just 5 lines to say to yourself every single day that will transform the direction of your life. Let's start with a truth most people overlook. Every single day you're talking to yourself, constantly, internally, sometimes even out loud. And whether you realize it or not, that self-talk is programming your brain, shaping your beliefs, and setting the standard for how you show up in life. Now imagine this. You wake up in the morning, the alarm goes off, and the first thought in your head is, oh, another day, I'm so tired. I'm not ready for this. You drag yourself out of bed, already defeated before the day has even started. And guess what? Your brain, that incredible supercomputer inside your skull, listens and obeys. It says, got it. We're tired. We're not ready. Today's going to suck. And that becomes your reality. Not because the day was bad, but because you told your mind what to believe. Your self-talk became your software. It filtered everything through that lens. Let's flip the script. Same alarm, same time. But this time you sit up and say, today is a gift. I may feel tired. I'm powerful. I get to create something amazing today. What happens now? Your body responds. Your mood shifts. Your eyes open a little wider. Your energy changes because you're speaking power instead of poison. That is the power of self-talk. It's not just thinking positive. It's not delusion. It's direction. It's declaring the kind of person you choose to be and the kind of reality you choose to experience, no matter what's going on around you. Think about this from your daily life. How often do you say things like, I'm not good at this. I always mess things up. People like me never win. I'll probably fail anyway. Let me ask you something. Would you ever speak that way to a child? Would you look a little 6-year-old in the eyes and say, you're not good enough. You'll probably mess up. Don't even try. Never. That would crush them. And yet we speak to ourselves like that all the time. We bully ourselves into fear. We shame ourselves into staying small. We become our own worst critics instead of our greatest allies. But here's the shift. You can reprogram your self-talk. Just like you update your phone, your software, your apps, you can upgrade the words you speak to yourself. And when you do, everything changes. Let me tell you a story. There was a man who years ago was broke, overweight, depressed, and stuck in a job he hated. Every day he told himself, this is just how life is. Nothing ever changes. But one day he got tired of that narrative. He looked in the mirror and said, this isn't me. This is a temporary chapter, not the whole story. He started every morning with a new ritual. He would look at himself and say, I am strong enough to change. I am not my circumstances. I choose to rise. He didn't feel it at first, but he said it anyway, every single day. And you know what happened? His brain began to believe. His actions followed. His confidence grew. He started eating better, moving more, trying new things, taking bold steps. That man is now leading a business, mentoring others, healthy, thriving, not because he got lucky, but because he reprogrammed his identity through his self-talk. You see, the most important voice in your life is not your parents, not your boss, not your critics. It's your own voice, the one you hear in your 24/7. If that voice is tearing you down, you're building your life on sand. But if that voice starts lifting you up, speaking vision, reminding you of your power, that's like building your house on rock. It's not about arrogance. It's about alignment. It's about reminding yourself of what's TROE, even when your emotions are loud. So the next time you hear that little voice saying, I can't, interrupt it. Say, who says, watch me. When your mind whispers, you always fail, you say, maybe I've failed before, but this time is different. This time I learn. This time I grow. Self-talk isn't a game. It's your operating system. It's the script your life is running on. If you want better results, change the script. Talk to yourself like someone you respect, like someone you believe in. Because the moment you change the way you speak to yourself, the world starts changing the way it responds to you. And that is how transformation begins. Not with motivation, with the words you whisper to yourself when no one is watching. Your self-talk is your self-programming, so speak wisely, speak boldly, speak life, and your life will rise to meet it. Here's a truth that might punch a little. Most people don't lack time, talent, or opportunity. They lack control. Not over the world, but over themselves. They let the day dictate their energy. They let other people hijack their focus. And they sit back waiting for motivation to magically spark action. But here's the breakthrough. The moment you decide to take full control of your energy, your focus, and your actions, that's the moment life stops happening to you and starts happening through you. Let's break this down in real life. You wake up. Maybe you slept poorly. Maybe your phone is already buzzing. Before your feet even hit the floor, your mind is pulled in 100 directions. You start scrolling social media, seeing people's perfect lives, comparing yourself. Maybe a stressful email hits. Maybe a family member says something sharp, and before breakfast, your mood is wrecked. Sound familiar? But let's rewind and imagine something different. Same situation. You wake up, you feel tired, but you pause, you breathe, you speak out loud. I take full control of my energy, my focus, and my actions. You don't pick up your phone, you stretch, you drink water, you move your body. You set an intention. You decide what matters most today, what changed. The outside world is the same, but you are different because you claim control instead of giving it away. That's power. Most people live in reaction mode, let other people's energy become their own. If someone's angry, they get angry. If someone's negative, they spiral. If things go wrong, they shut down. But when you own your energy, no one else gets to drive your state. You do. Imagine two people stuck in traffic. One is pounding the steering wheel, yelling, fuming, stressed out. The other is listening to a podcast, breathing deeply, using the time to grow. Same traffic, same delay, same inconvenience. One is suffering, one is growing. Why? Because one took control of their focus. They focused on what they could control, not what they couldn't. Your focus is like a flashlight. Where you point it determines what you feel. Point it at problems and you'll feel overwhelmed. Point it at possibilities and you'll feel inspired. It's the same with energy. You can choose to conserve it, protect it, and elevate it, or you can leak it out to drama, distractions, and doubts. The choice is always yours. Let's say you have a big project to do, something important, something that could change the game for you. But instead of diving in, you check your phone. You scroll, you snack, you procrastinate. Hours go by, and then you say, I just didn't have the energy, but that's not true. You spent your energy on things that didn't matter. You leaked it away through unfocused action. Energy isn't just something you have, it's something you manage. Now, let's talk about the final piece of actions. Taking control of your actions means refusing to be guided by mood. It means showing up when it's hard. It means being consistent, not perfect. The truth is, the most successful people in the world aren't the most talented. They're the most intentional. They do what needs to be done, whether they feel like it or not. They build routines. They build rituals. They don't wait for the perfect moment. They create momentum by doing. Even small actions repeated daily shift your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries and start becoming someone who executes. Think about the gym. Some days you feel strong. Some days you don't. The ones who get results are the ones who show up regardless. They don't ask, do I feel like it today? They ask, what's the standard I've set for myself? That's control. That's power. Let me give you a real example. There's a woman named Maya. She's a single mother with 2 jobs. She was constantly tired, overwhelmed, and discouraged. But she made a decision every morning before her kids woke up. She would take 15 minutes to focus, to fuel herself, and to move. She started small, stretching, journaling, repeating empowering words. Over time, something shifted. She wasn't just surviving, she was leading. Her energy changed. She started an online side hustle. 2 years later, she quit her second job, doubled her income, and said these words, "It all started when I stopped giving my power away to the world and started owning it inside me." That's what happens when you take full control of your energy, your focus, maybe your actions. You stop being a passenger and start being the driver. You don't wait for life to hand you momentum. You create it. You don't wait for good vibes. You become the good vibe. You choose what to think. You choose what to give your attention to. You choose what you'll act on, and those choices stack up and become your results. So ask yourself right now, what energy am I bringing to my day? What am I focusing on that's building me or breaking me? What small actions can I take that move me toward my best self? Because the truth is, nobody's coming to save you. Not a boss, not a friend, not a miracle. It's on you. And that's not a burden, that's a blessing. You have the power, you have the control. And when you own it, life bends in your direction. Say it, live it, become it. I take full control of my energy, my focus, my actions. Because the most powerful person in the room isn't the loudest, it's the one in control of themselves. What if the very thing you've been avoiding is the thing that could make you unstoppable? Most people spend their lives trying to escape discomfort. They dodge the hard conversations, they avoid failure, they tiptoe around pain. But here's the truth, nothing truly powerful, lasting, or legendary has ever been built in comfort. It does not live on easy street, it lives in the fire. You see, every challenge, every setback, every disappointment, every unexpected twist is not here to break you. It's here to build you, not to punish you, but to prepare you. It's fuel. But the only way it can power your future is if you choose to face it. Let's take a daily life example. You've just lost a job. That gut-wrenching feeling of being told you're no longer needed can crush your confidence. Most people fall into a spiral. They say things like, why me? This is so unfair. What do I do now? And they stay in that state for days, weeks, even years. Some never bounce back. But then there's another kind of person. The one who says, this hurts, but this will not define me. This will refine me. Instead of running from the pain, they run into it. They ask hard questions. What can I learn from this? Where did I settle? What's next for me that's even greater? They use the fire to shape something new. They update their skills. They start a side hustle. They apply to places that match their vision. They become a more powerful version of themselves because they ran into the challenge instead of away from it. That's the difference between victims and victors. Fire burns both, but only one uses the flame to forge something stronger. Think about athletes. The ones at the top, the champions, they don't pray for easy opponents. They train for the toughest ones. They don't avoid the burn in the gym. They embrace it. They don't collapse under pressure. They see pressure as proof that they're stepping into something greater. They know that resistance builds strength. So when life pushes against you, it's not trying to defeat you. It's inviting you to discover how strong you really are. Let's take another example, heartbreak. You gave them everything, and then it ended. The kind of pain that steals your sleep, crushes your chest, and fogs your future. You feel broken, empty, lost. Most people in this place shut down. They build walls. They become cold. They swear off love. They let one chapter poison the whole story. Others, the ones who run into the fire, they do the work. They grieve fully. They reflect deeply. They realize that pain was real, but it taught me about my strength, about what I will never settle for again. They rise from the ashes, not bitter, but better. This is what running into the fire means. It means embracing the hard, the painful, the uncomfortable, not because you enjoy it, but because you know who you'll become on the other side of it. Think of any hero you admire in real life, in history, in fiction. Every single one of them was forged in fire. Nelson Mandela didn't become a global icon by having a smooth life. He spent 27 years in prison. He used it to strengthen his vision. He didn't run from the challenge. He leaned into it with purpose. Even in your own life, think back. The times you were most proud of yourself weren't the easy times. They were the moments you pushed through when it was hard, when you stood up after falling, when you kept going. Why? Because challenge activates character. Fire doesn't just reveal what you're made of, it upgrades what you're made of. But here's the catch. Only works if you lean in, if you face it, if you embrace the discomfort. You don't grow by avoiding tough conversations. You grow by having them with love and courage. You don't grow by skipping the gym. You grow by showing up when it's the last thing you want to do. You don't grow by quitting when you fail. You grow by learning why you failed and getting up again stronger and smarter. So the next time life throws something heavy at you, a betrayal, a setback, a closed door, don't ask, why is this happening to me? Ask, how is this happening for me? Because it is, it always is. Every challenge is shaping you for a future you can't yet see. You just have to run into it. And when you do, when you stop fearing the fire and start becoming the fire, people will look at your life and say, how did they do it? And you'll know the answer. I didn't run from the challenge. I ran into it, and I came out stronger. So remember this. When the pressure rises, when the storm comes, when life dares you to crumble, smile. Step forward and whisper to yourself, every challenge is fuel. I don't run from fire. I run into it, because that's what warriors do. That's what leaders do. That's what YOU do. We all have dreams. Every person walking this planet has something they want. Whether it's a better body, a healthier relationship, financial freedom, peace of mind, or something as simple as waking up excited about life again. But only a few actually go out and make those dreams real. And the difference between those who wish and those who win, it's not luck, it's not timing, it's not even talent, it's vision, not a vague idea, not a half-hearted intention, but a clear, bold, unshakable vision that's so powerful, so magnetic, so deeply rooted in your soul that it's bigger than every excuse that tries to stop you. Because excuses will come every single day, and they'll sound so logical, so real. I'm too tired today. It's just not the right time. I'll start when I have more money. What if I fail? What if people judge me? Sound familiar? These are the whispers that steal your future. These are the lies that keep you average. And they'll win unless your vision is louder. Let me take you into a real life moment. Imagine it's 5:30 a.m. The alarm goes off. It's cold. You're tired. No one's watching. No one would blame you if you hit snooze. That's the moment your excuses show up. But if you've built a vision so strong in your heart, a vision of who you want to become, what you want to build, what you want to give your family, the legacy you want to leave, then something inside you says, get up. The world doesn't change by sleeping in. That's when you know your vision is running your life, not your feelings. Excuses are rooted in the past. They come from fear, from past failures, from stories we've told ourselves over and over. But vision lives in the future. It speaks from faith. It paints pictures of what's possible. When your future is more exciting than your fear, you move, you rise, you act. Let's say you want to start a business. You're passionate. You've got ideas. But fear kicks in. What if I lose money? What if no one buys? I'm not qualified enough. These excuses start pulling you down like quicksand. But then you reconnect with your vision. You see the company thriving. You see lives being changed. You see your family taken care of, your time freed, your impact spreading. That fire reignites, and suddenly those excuses that felt like mountains become speed bumps. Your vision shrinks your excuses when it's strong enough. Think about athletes, the ones who break records, win medals, go down in history. Do you think they don't have excuses? Of course they do. They feel tired, they feel pressure, they doubt. But their vision of standing on the podium, hearing their national anthem, representing something bigger than themselves, that's what pulls them through the pain. And this isn't just about success. It's about becoming someone you're proud of. Let's talk about health. You want to get in shape. You want to feel good in your skin again. Every time it's time to work out or eat clean, those familiar thoughts come in. It's been a long day. One cheat meal won't hurt. Start on Monday. But if your vision is to be strong for your kids, to live long, to reverse a diagnosis, to finally love the person in the mirror, then that vision slaps the excuses in the face. That vision gets you off the couch. That vision says, we're doing this because the future matters more than this moment. Here's the thing. Excuses are easy because they're convenient. Vision is hard because it demands commitment. But vision also gives meaning. It makes the struggle sacred. It turns discipline into devotion. And that's where real fulfillment is born. There's a man named James, grew up poor, dropped out of high school, had every reason to give up, but he saw something. A picture in his mind of opening a youth center to help kids like him. Every time he wanted to quit, every time the rent was due and he had nothing, every time the world told him it wouldn't work, he'd sit in silence and picture that center, the laughter of the kids, the art on the walls, the safe space he never had. That vision pulled him through the darkest nights. Now, years later, it's real. That youth center is alive, and when people ask him how he did it, he says, my excuses were loud. My vision screamed louder. That's what you need, a vision that screams louder than your limitations. So ask yourself today, what's bigger, your dream or your distractions, your mission or your moods? Because here's the truth, excuses don't care about your goals. They don't care how long you've wanted it. They don't care how much it means to you. So you'd better have a vision powerful enough to crush them. Say it until you live it. My vision is bigger than my excuses. And when it is, there's no force on earth that can stop you. We live in a world that constantly tries to convince us that we're not enough, not smart enough, not talented enough, not attractive, connected, experienced, or qualified enough. From the moment we're old enough to understand language, we're bombarded with messages that say we need more in order to be valuable, more degrees, more likes, more money, more validation, and slowly we begin to believe the lie that we're missing something, that we have to become someone else before we can truly begin. But here's the truth that can change everything. You already have what it takes. Right here. Right now. You don't need to wait for some magical moment to begin. You don't need someone to tap you on the shoulder and give you permission. You don't need to have it all figured out to take the first step. Everything you need to become the person you're meant to be is already within you. It's not something you find out there. It's something you activate in here. Think about this for a moment. When a seed is planted, it already contains everything it needs to become a tree. It just needs the right environment, the right conditions. Most importantly, time. It doesn't sit in the soil thinking, maybe I'm not worthy of growing. It doesn't question whether it's good enough to reach the sun. It simply grows because that's what it was designed to do. You're the same. The dream you have in your heart, that's not random. That call and that urge to build, create, speak, transform, help, that's not some fantasy. That's your truth trying to break through. And if you have the vision, that means you also have the potential to bring it to life. Let's bring it down to real life. Imagine a young woman named Sarah. She's always dreamed of starting her own bakery. She's passionate, skilled, and full of heart. Every time she thinks about it, she gets overwhelmed. I don't have business experience. She tells herself, what if no one buys from me? What if I mess up? And for years, she lets those thoughts freeze her into inaction. But one day, she looks at herself in the mirror and says something different. She says, I may not know everything. I already have what it takes to begin. she realizes that her love for bacon, her drive, her creativity, and her willingness to learn, that's enough to start. So she takes one step, then another. She tests recipes. She starts an Instagram page. She talks to mentors. And little by little, she builds something beautiful, not because she was the most prepared, but because she believed she already had the tools to take the first step. That's the shift. We wait for confidence to come before we move. Confidence doesn't lead to action. Action leads to confidence. You build belief by doing, not by waiting. How many dreams die because someone kept saying, "I'm not ready yet"? How many books were never written, businesses never launched, relationships never pursued, because someone believed they needed something more before starting? Here's what you need: a decision. A moment where you declare, "I've got what I need to begin." Maybe not to finish, maybe not to do it perfectly, but to start. Even the people you look up to, the leaders, the speakers, the entrepreneurs, the artists, they weren't born with a secret code. They had doubts, they had fears, but they moved anyway. And every time they acted, they unlocked a little more of their own potential. You have the fire, you have the mind, you have the heart. You've already lived through pain, through struggle, through things that tried to break you, and you're still here. You've overcome more than you give yourself credit for. Do you really think you came all this way just to stop now? You've already got wisdom from your experiences, courage from your scars, resilience from your trials, creativity from your passion. You have everything you need to become everything you want, but you've got to say it. You've got to own it. Say it when you feel insecure. Say it when the fear creeps in. Say it when you're surrounded by people who doubt you. I already have what it takes. Not in the future. Not after another degree. Not once someone else approves of you. Now. When a lion is born, it doesn't become a lion once it hunts. It's born a lion. It just needs to discover its nature. You are powerful. Not because someone says so, because that power was built into your spirit. You're not waiting to be chosen. You've already been chosen by life, by your calling, by the very fact that you're alive with desire burning in your chest. That's proof enough. So what do you do now? You step forward. You act. You trust. Will you stumble? Of course. Will you make mistakes? Definitely. But will you grow? Will you evolve? Will you surprise even yourself? Absolutely. Because you'll finally be living from the truth, not the lie. The truth is, the only thing missing was the belief. So let today be the moment that changes the story. Stand up, look yourself in the eyes, and say it with conviction. I already have what it takes. Because when you believe that, the world will start believing it too. This isn't just a motivational quote. This is a way of life, a mindset, a mission. Because the truth is, every day that passes is a day you don't get back. And how you show up today determines who you become tomorrow. Let that sink in for a second. You don't become great someday. You don't build a dream eventually. You don't become the person you admire in theory. You become it by how you show up right now, in this moment. In the ordinary, in the unseen. In the quiet daily decisions that nobody claps for, but that shape everything. So when I say, I show up every day like my life depends on it, I'm not being dramatic. I'm being intentional, because it actually does. Think about this. How many times do we treat life like we have unlimited time? We act like we can wait until next week, next month, next year, but time doesn't wait. Opportunity doesn't wait. Your potential doesn't wait. Life is happening now. The way you show up to it, the way you respect it, makes all the difference. Let me bring this to a simple, real life example. Imagine you're working on a goal. Maybe it's getting in shape, starting a business, writing a book. You've got the dream in your heart. The excitement was there on day one. But then life happens. You get tired, work piles up, distractions sneak in. You say, just one day off won't matter. But here's the catch. It always starts with just one day. Then that one day becomes a week, then a month. And before you know it, you're back at square one wondering why nothing changed. Now imagine instead that every single day, no matter how you felt, no matter how chaotic life got, you said, today matters. Matters. This one chapter matters. This one step forward counts. That energy, that level of showing up builds something powerful. It builds identity, discipline, and eventually results, because results don't come from intensity once in a while. They come from consistency every single day. Think about a sculptor chipping away at a block of marble. He doesn't swing the hammer once and expect a masterpiece. He shows up every day, strike by strike. Sometimes the progress is visible, sometimes it's not. But he keeps showing up. Why? Because he knows the shape is being formed even when he can't see it yet. It's the same with your life. You don't see the impact of one workout, one journal entry, one sales call, one deep conversation. But each one leaves a mark. Each one shapes you. And when you stack enough of them, transformation happens. The problem is most people only show up when they feel like it. And that's the difference between living by emotion and living by commitment. Because there will be days you don't feel motivated. Days you feel like quitting. Days when no one is cheering you on. That's when your decision has to be stronger than your doubt. You've got to say, I'm not here to wait for permission. I'm not here to coast through life on autopilot. I'm here to play full out. I'm here to rise. I'm here to show up like my life depends on it, because it truly does. Let's take another example, parenting. You've got kids, you're exhausted. Work drained you. You had a rough day. But when you walk through that door, they don't need your excuses. They need your presence, your energy, your love. How you show up in those moments shapes their world. Or maybe you're in a relationship. You don't feel like being affectionate or present or patient today. You choose to show up anyway. You choose to love actively, not passively. That's how bonds are built. That's how trust is forged. Not in the big romantic gestures, but in the daily decision to be all in. Now think about your dreams. Every day you choose to show up for them, to take one step. However small, you're proving to yourself that you're serious. And when you take yourself seriously, the world starts doing the same. But when you ghost your own goals, when you treat your calling like an afterthought, you weaken your self-trust. And over time, you stop believing you're capable of more. Not because you aren't, because you stopped showing up for it. There's a man named David. Worked a full-time job, came home tired every night, but he had a vision to write a novel. So he made a non-negotiable commitment, write 500 words a day. Rain or shine, no excuses. Some days the writing was awful, some days it flowed. But he showed up anyway. 1 year later, he held his published book in his hands, not because he was the best writer, but because he kept showing up daily, relentlessly, like it mattered, because it did. So here's the challenge: show up before you feel ready. Show up when no one's watching. Show up when it's boring, when it's tough, when it's thankless. Show up like your future depends on it, because it does. This life of yours, it's not a rehearsal. This moment, you don't get it back. So bring the energy, bring the focus, bring the fire. Wake up every morning and look in the mirror and say, I show up every day like my life depends on it, because it does. Because when that becomes your standard, your life will never be the same again. Words are not just sounds that leave your lips and disappear into the air. Words are energy, words are vibration. Words are blueprints. Every time you speak, you're either building a life that fuels your purpose or one that steals it. And the most powerful words you will ever hear aren't the ones that come from someone else. They're the ones you speak to yourself. We've been trained to talk ourselves out of greatness. I can't do this. This always happens to me. I'm so stupid. I'll never change. At first, these phrases seem harmless. Repetition turns words into beliefs, and beliefs shape actions, and actions build reality. So if every day you're feeding yourself doubt, defeat, and discouragement, don't be surprised when your life starts looking like a reflection of your fear instead of your potential. Let me give you a daily life example. You wake up late. You spill your coffee. You miss a meeting. Immediately your inner voice kicks in. Of course, classic me. Always messing up. This day is ruined. I can't catch a break. And guess what? Your energy drops. You stop trying. You walk into the rest of the day wearing defeat like a heavy coat. But now imagine something different. You wake up late. You spill the coffee. Instead of falling into the same old script, you catch yourself. You take a breath and you say, this moment doesn't define my day. I bounce back quickly. I'm still in control. That shift may seem small, but it's massive. You don't just react to your day. You take the wheel. You speak power into your life, even in chaos. This isn't about fake positivity. It's about intentional focus. It's about choosing to narrate your story in a way that leads you forward, not keeps you stuck. Your words are seeds. Like any seed, they grow to what they were planted for. You can't plant seeds of failure and expect success to grow. You can't plant bitterness and expect joy. You can't constantly say, I'm not ready, I'm not worthy, I'm not enough, and then wonder why confidence never shows up. Let me give you a deeper real-life scenario. There's a young man named Amir. He grew up hearing the phrase, you're not going to amount to much, from people around him, teachers, family, even friends. After a while, he didn't need them to say it. He started saying it to himself. He'd fail a test and whisper, of course I did. He'd get rejected from a job and mutter, I knew it. I'm just not that guy. His life followed his language. But one day a mentor told him something simple yet revolutionary. Your life is not controlled by what others say about you. It's controlled by what you say about you. That hit him hard. So he started changing the script. Not overnight. Daily he'd wake up and say things that felt uncomfortable at first. I'm learning fast, stronger. I have value. I'm worthy of success. At first it felt like a lie. But over time, those words were wired the way he saw himself. He stopped apologizing for who he was. He stopped lowering his standards. He started applying for jobs with confidence. He eventually started his own design agency. Today, he mentors others, all because he stopped speaking defeat and started speaking power. Here's the key: you don't speak what you see. You speak what you want to see. That's what leaders do. That's what winners do. Think of it this way: you're either the victim of your words or the architect of them. When you say, "I can't," your brain shuts down. It doesn't look for solutions. But when you say, "I will figure it out," your mind starts solving. It becomes resourceful. New thoughts, new actions, new outcomes. Even in relationships, your words carry energy. You say, "You never listen to me," enough times, and people feel pushed away. If you say, "I want to feel connected to you, help me understand you better," you invite understanding. See the difference. Words are weapons or tools, and you choose how to wield them. You don't have to wait for life to change before you speak differently. You speak differently to change your life. Even science backs this up. Studies on neuroplasticity show that the words we repeat to ourselves literally reshape the brain's wiring. That means every time you say, "I'm disciplined," or "I'm growing," or "I've got this," even if you don't feel it yet, you are training your mind to believe it. And once your mind believes it, your actions will reflect it. So from this day forward, make this your commitment. No more self-insults disguised as jokes. No more casual negativity. No more using your own voice as a weapon against yourself. Start each day by speaking what you need most. I am focused. I am worthy. I am not my past. I'm building my future. I speak power into my life, because if your life is a movie, then you are the narrator, and the story will go where your words direct it. So speak like it matters. Speak like it's sacred. Speak like your life depends on it, because it does. I speak power into my own life because my words create my world. Say it, believe it, and watch your world rise to match your words. It's a word that can strike fear deep in our hearts, causing hesitation, self-doubt, and sometimes even paralysis. We grow up learning to avoid failure, to fear mistakes, to view setbacks as proof that we aren't good enough or that our dreams are out of reach. But what if I told you that failure isn't the enemy? What if I told you that failure is not the opposite of success, but the foundation of it? That every single great achievement in history was built on a mountain of failures, setbacks, and lessons learned the hard way. If you want to change your life, you must change how you see failure. Let me take you back to a real life story. Thomas Edison, the man who invented the electric light bulb, didn't get it right on the first try, not the second, not the 100th. In fact, he famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Think about that for a moment. Each failure wasn't a reason to quit. It was a step forward. Every time he tried and didn't succeed, he was closer to the light bulb lighting up the world. Now, how often do we quit when the first or second attempt doesn't go as planned? How many times do we get discouraged and say, "This isn't for me," or "I'm just not cut out for this"? If you never fail, you probably aren't trying hard enough. You're playing it too safe. You're staying in your comfort zone where nothing grows, nothing changes, and nothing extraordinary happens. But the moment you start to embrace failure, something incredible shifts. Failure becomes not a judgment, but a teacher, a mentor, a guide who shows you where the gaps are and what you need to improve. Failure pulls back the curtain on what's really happening and forces you to adapt, to grow, to evolve. Let me give you an everyday example. Imagine an entrepreneur named Maya. She launched her first product, pouring heart and soul into it, only to see it flop. Sales were low, feedback was harsh, and the dream she imagined seemed miles away. Most would say, "It's not working." But Maya did something different. She sat with the failure, examined it, asked tough questions, and learned what needed to change. She pivoted her strategy, refined her product, and launched again. This time, her business began to grow. What made the difference? Not luck. Not magic. It was the decision to embrace failure as a stepping stone rather than a dead end. Failure strips away illusions and reveals your true capacity for resilience and creativity. It forces you to dig deeper, to find new solutions, and it becomes stronger than you thought possible. You see, when you learn to embrace failure, you develop a mindset that says, "I will fail, and that's okay, because failure is part of the process." This mindset liberates you from the fear that paralyzes most people. It gives you freedom to take risks, to push boundaries, to try again with courage. Think about athletes. Michael Jordan, one of the greatest basketball players ever, was cut from his high school team. Did that stop him? No. It fueled him. He said, "I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. I've failed over and over again in my life. And that is why I succeed." His failures were not setbacks, but setups for success. When you embrace failure, you stop seeing it as a reflection of your worth. You stop tying your identity to results. Instead, you start seeing it as an inevitable part of becoming, and that's where growth happens. But here's another important piece. Embracing failure also means embracing the lessons it offers. Failure without reflection is just defeat. But failure followed by insight is transformation. So whenever you fail, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I improve? What is this experience teaching me about my approach or my mindset? How can I use this to come back stronger? That's what separates the winners from the quitters. Remember, failure is temporary. What you build on the other side of failure is permanent. If you're waiting for a life without failure, you're waiting for a life without growth. But if you decide today to embrace failure, to welcome it as a part of your journey, you unlock the door to limitless potential. So speak to yourself with these words. I embrace failure as the stepping stone to success. Say it when you're discouraged. Say it when you're afraid to take the next step. Say it when you want to quit. And watch how your relationship with failure transforms your life. Because when you see failure not as the end, but as the beginning, you'll begin to live fully, take bold action, and create a future that's far greater than your fears ever imagined.